During her extensive traveling over the years, multimedia artist Sara Friedlander from Santa Cruz, California, has developed a passion and respect for people and place. In addition, her career as a psychotherapist led her deep into the emotional landscape of self and others. Yet the confidentiality of these client relationships made her artistic practice that much more significant as an outlet. Now having retired, she's pursuing full-time a body of work which is informed both by her career and travels. For example, in 2000, she created a series of work with photographs of women with bound feet from China she had taken back in 1982. The secret nature and pathos of their unique suffering and the dignity with which these women carried their plight moved her. Sara has numerous examples over the years of how she ideally learns new skills through outright emulation. This is actually a bit unusual in our Western culture, where I'd say copying is mostly a pejorative term. For example, as she was taught painting in Bali, she found the students' and teachers' work are often indistinguishable. And yet, most images come from a communal place. Why not share your canvases? So, when did this passion to make things begin for you?
I would say it wasn't until I got to college, my freshman year, and I met a woman from New York who spent all of her spare time knitting and crocheting and doing things with her hand and making beautiful things to wear or to mobiles for the room. And I literally said to her, "Can I just copy you? Is that okay with you if I just sit with you and copy what you're doing?" And evidently that was my way of learning almost anything, was mimicking. And I wound up crocheting blankets, during class, and it was just like part of me was wanting to create things. And I think people don't understand that they don't have to be talented at something to express it, as long as they find the avenue. It's just about finding the avenue and repeating it enough. In Bali, the way they teach dance is they literally entwine their arms around the young dancers. And they move them so that they feel what it's supposed to feel like physically. And it might just be a different kinesthetic way of learning. It's so interesting because on the one hand, I feel connected to that magical moment, or the sense that there's a muse or there's someone helping me, or somehow. Elizabeth Gilbert has this fabulous new piece where, I don't know if you've heard it, where she talks about that the muse is there, but you've got to show up, and sometimes the muse, isn't cooperative, and sometimes the muse, goes to sleep for a really long time, but if you show up and you keep showing up, that's your part of it. So it's not just the muse and it's not just showing up, it's this combination. Mm-hmm. And I find that every single time I paint, something happens where I feel like, wow, I got through this block, or I got to create, a painting that, that works. I feel like it is magic.
Her process, influenced by the technique of Holly Roberts, has become photography-based as she merges 3 or 4 images that work well together, and then extends the canvas photorealistically, creating complex and shifting layers of reality she calls time-lapse photosurrealism. In the Subway series, she emphasizes multi-dimensions in time and space, cubist bent really, with distant platforms in deep focus, and multiple views of the scene, including her daughter on her first subway ride. Her daughter, in fact, now lives in Manhattan full-time, so this is a nice family memory as well.
And in a certain way, it's even more of the copying.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? I take what I see and copy it and then change it, because I didn't know what it looked like as it went from, this edge right here. Uh-huh. I didn't know what that looked like in reality, but as I copied it, it grew into something
Right.
that was all mine.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. When you say copying, that's assuming that you don't have a voice. And you just need to appropriate somebody else's, right?
Right.
And that's not what
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about appropriating reality wherever it is, and then creating your own translation.
Yeah. Yeah, you have your own vision.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. I mean, did that...
I mean, this is a really amazing example of that, because these two photographs were in the same place, in Kunming, China.
Okay.
And these two photographs were in a different city.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't know what the top of these buildings looked like at all.
Uh-huh.
And so based on what I did know I had and what I could imagine as part of the other building, I could create a scene that never existed but really resembles something that did exist. And it's my own translation, of memory.
Right. It's all an illusion anyways,
It's
right?
all an illusion anyway. Exactly.
It's all reflected light and perception.
And this was one of the first times that I intentionally had the experience of copying, because I was in a class where he said, take two of your favorite painters, combine their styles. And so I took a Richard Diepenkorn and a Franz Klein and made it, a Diepenklein. Well, that Diebenkorn was one of the most exciting moments of my artistic life, because as I studied it, and it wouldn't have been anything that I, with my little delicate touch, would ever have done, but I did that motion, and it was feeling into his body when I was painting it. Like, I had the blue underneath, and then I just took color, used it on a brush in a way I never would have done, but I could see what it looked like he had done. And I really am so still in awe when I go into a museum and I think, wow, that came from where? Cubism or whatever. It's like, how did that come out of it? Because I'm still connecting to reality, in all of my paintings. The abstraction, is in the design. Like with this, what I was in the Apple building, and I looked up through those glass stairs and was blown away at the design and the way people's bodies, morphed, into who knows what. I love this building. Well, when I tell you I've got 100,000 photographs, yeah, I've got way too much work ahead of me. There are always too many ideas. On the other hand, I really loved working in series so that I can really, go for a long time with one idea.
I hear that.
That works for me. And, if I live long and can keep doing it, maybe I'll get to an eighth of what it is that's already in my head, never mind what's going to come in the future. It's fine with me. My worldview is that if you give enough, then you can take something for yourself. And the art was always the thing, that I was taking for myself after being really generous, if I could be, as a therapist or as a parent or whatever it was. And now I just get to be doing the art all the time, and I'm turning it into something generous because people seem to enjoy it, and I think I can add to the world's store of inspirational material, but I really feel like I'm the lucky one here.